All right, I am in a 1972 365 GTC4. So this car is in for brake service. Owner said that the brakes were locking up, and I think I figured it out. I mean, the booster ended up not really working. The booster was actually just wasn't boosting, and then on top of that, I think one of the seals inside it swelled up. When it was assembled, they used a grease that must have made the rubber swell up, and so it would actually cause the master cylinder to not retract all the way, and then I think the brakes just kind of locked up. I drove it for hours trying to get it to do it, but I couldn't get it to do it. But I knew that it couldn't be the master cylinder or the calipers, or didn't think it was, because they would have done it repeatably. And you know, this time I wouldn't done it. I mean, if it had seized the caliper up, it would have happened pretty quickly. These calipers don't usually unstick and then drive normally for hours and hours at a time. Master cylinder usually goes to the floor. It doesn't keep pressure when it fails. But usually a booster or not retracting is often what happens, is when the master cylinder starts to almost act like a check valve. So we'll see. I just rebuilt the booster. We're gonna take it out for a drive, and you get to ride along. 365 GTC4s. They're 2+2s with the rear seat, but they're also known for having a really good sound. They have a good exhaust, though. I don't know what it is about them that everybody says it sounds good. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying that it certainly is a sound that seems to only come from a 365. Let's just see what these brakes feel. It's feeling pretty good. I mean, before it was just wasn't doing much. I'm not releasing the throttle fast enough, just getting used to it, because this the throttle spring feels a little stiff, so I feel like I'm holding it down harder than I should. But it's all about this. First time I've driven, or not the first time I've driven this car, I've driven it a little bit, but each car has its own little idiosyncrasies, and it's just getting used to them. See how much gas I got here. Where's my fuel gauge? Half a tank. So let's go for a little bit of a drive. See if we can get these brakes to do weird things. I hope it's fixed. to get stuck behind a DHL van. That might be it. To just get ahead of us, and then we'll pull out. Oh, someone's behind us, so let's go. It's a little oversensitive, but it's certainly fine. I mean, it makes the difference of it is that it makes it way easier to drive around in a parking lot or slow speeds. What I've noticed on highways is like it tends to be a little bit, you know, twitchier simply because it has power steering. With like a Daytona with a manual steering, everybody complains about the slow speed, you know, sluggishness or just heaviness, but that makes up all the difference on high speed. Like right now, you can just, you know, it just tends to be a little bit more sensitive in a 365 GTC4 at speed. Other than that, I mean, these cars are great to drive. I mean, they're just very easy around town because of the power steering. It's got a good sound to it. People just love the way these sound. I think they sound just as good as a Daytona, or Daytona sounds as good as this, but a lot of people really are enamored with the sound of a 365 GTC4. Maybe it's just because the exhaust tips are turned up, so when you hear it go by, it just has a different sound because the trumpets are pointing up. So the 365 GTC4 is it's kind of funny. It's like the 2+2 Daytona. It's got very similar lines to Daytona, and then yet at the same time it doesn't. Same engine layout, 365 or 365 cc times 12 is equal to about 4.4 liters. But the difference on this engine is that architecturally it's just slightly different. It's got a super long chain, wraps around all the 4 camshafts, and is one big long chain. The Daytona doesn't have one chain. It's got gears up at the top that drive the 2 camshafts, so the actual chain is a little shorter. So the problem with the 365 GTC4 is that that chain being longer means that it'll stretch a little bit more, and it can have problems with just chains. But you know, you do regular oil changes, you do chain or tension adjusters, you should be okay. The downside to it all is that a 365, the carburetors are coming out the side, which is the DCOE side draft carburetors, and so anytime you do any kind of service on the valve train or anything like that, all the intake runners have to come off, all the carburetors and linkages, so it tends to be a little labor intensive.